Before we start today's show, we want to invite you to stick around at the end of the episode to enjoy a preview of a new podcast that premieres on July 14th. As the industry's exclusive cannabis podcast network, MJBulls is proud to present Women Leading in Cannabis. Join host Kira Reed each week for inspirational discussions with women who are leading the cannabis industry. For too many years, families of children with devastating illnesses have felt helpless as they watch their child suffer. Today, they're taking matters into their own hands and finally finding relief treating their child with cannabis. This is one family's story.
Hi, thanks for tuning in to another episode of
Love and Cannabis.
I am Nina.
I'm Osiris.
And we are the proud parents of
Aiden.
So, last week we said we're going to talk about postpartum depression and the use of cannabis.
But before we get into that, could I just interrupt real quick?
Okay.
I just wanted to tell everyone about a great weekend we had. We went away for, a family trip. We do this annually with another family friends that we have.
Roberts, shout out to the Roberts.
We were at the Hershey Park for 2.5 days, you could say. And we had a fabulous time. No stress, no worries, just the family, just relaxing, enjoying the weather. And also, I had to give big ups to Aiden, who had an awesome time. Despite that he had one or two trigger seizures here and there, but it did not stop him from going on the rides. He was so ecstatic in between his screaming. But, as soon as he got off the ride, he's like, yeah, baby. I think that's going to be the mantra I think I'm going to move forward with is, yeah, baby, because this little guy, he's such a trooper, and I have to give him so much love and credit for him just stepping up and just being like, you know what? We're going to have fun. And he did, he had
a great time.
Yeah, he loved swimming. That was one of the things. He was loving being in the pool. Even if it was cold, he stayed in the pool swimming. He had his vest on. So, and, for families out there with kids who have some disabilities or some issues, sometimes, you can't do certain things with them. And that's why I love the fact that Aiden does not give up, and trying to do certain things and, certain activities you think that you shouldn't be doing. And sometimes we wonder, like, are we pushing this kid too far?
Yeah.
Are you going to call ACS? This kid, he just had a seizure, but he's still going. Like, okay, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
And so I just love him and his tenacity and just, his spirit to just keep going, just having fun no matter what. And swimming with him and watching him play and just get excited. It's awesome.
Yeah. It definitely inspires us, and no matter what he's going through, he just wants to have fun. He can have a quick little seizure and he's back on having fun like nothing happened. And just to elaborate on what Osiris was saying, so Aiden is basically tall enough now to go on most roller coasters, but he's still really thin. So it is a little scary, but he can get on. And we could be on a roller coaster and he'll scream his head off like someone's killing him.
Oh God, don't say that too loud.
But
we get reported.
But then at the end when it's over, he goes, yeah, baby. Like, okay.
We're like, this kid is really amped up for the ride. Even when we went to Disney and we went on some hairy rides and
Space Mountain.
Yeah, and this was his first time really on a roller. I think that was his first
time on a roller coaster. Yeah.
The kid was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. He's like waiting for the next one. And we've gone on some hairy rides. And even I had to be like, and he was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, this kid is a trooper. So yes, I'll hang out with him anytime. So yep, big up to Aiden. And thanks for being a good sidekick when it comes to going on the rides.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get back to the topic. So we're going to talk about postpartum depression, which...
You're going to have to explain to me, though.
What that is. Yeah. So basically, it's just being the onset of, I guess, some sadness after a month to a year after you have a baby. And that can look very different to different people. Some people, it's just a little sad feeling that they have. Some mothers cry uncontrollably.
Mm-hmm.
Some mothers have it to the point where they lose their appetite, or some can't even be around the baby.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that. Parents can't be around, the mothers, not so much parents, but the mothers can't really help the child, let alone themselves. They felt isolated. It's just, they're constantly jittery, nervous. It's just like this overwhelming emotions all the time. Is that what the case? There's times I wonder if you've experienced it, but have you? Because I know we talked about it, you mentioned it. And I know that on times you talk about depression. Is it like almost similar in a way? Or is it?
What I think is happening is that a lot of moms are going through it, but not really realizing. This is nothing that I read, but it's like in hindsight, you're like, oh, maybe I was suffering from this. There was an article in Housekeeping magazine that said that 15% of mothers go through this postpartum depression, but they think that it may be even more than that, because that's only the mothers who actually seek out help and it's actually reporting it.
Okay.
So I do think it probably is more. And I did go through it for sure. In hindsight, you do be like, wow, yeah, I was going through that. But in the time, you're not thinking, is this what it is? Or should I go get help for it?
Okay. That's interesting because, you think a moment of a woman having a child, that's like a point of happiness, joy, overwhelming. The husband, the father of the child is like, oh my God, we're having a great. And yet the mother's like feeling guilt and all these emotional stressors that are coming over them, and they feel overwhelmed. And me as a husband, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you when I had to help the child. So it's like, it's like this juggling act of what do you do? For a guy, it's like, what do we do? Do we just stand by and wait for it to, go away? Or is it just something that we can verbally say or something physically we can do? And it's not really, because it's all in your mind.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like in our mind making things up, but it's definitely a physical feeling. I don't know what fathers can do but be supportive. But what was nice about the article is basically said that some of these moms now are going to cannabis doctors.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the article featured our cannabis doctor, Dr. Shin, and said that she's been treating
to Dr. Chen.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything. Love you.
She has been treating moms with cannabis to help them deal with their postpartum depression. She said in the article stated that moms are coming into the office either sobbing or having these blank stares. And it's funny, when I was reading that, I was like, I see a lot of moms like that. Even in the pediatrician's office. Okay. They have this blank, it's like, what just happened? Like one day I'm, me, and then now I'm like a mom. It's like, and I'm dealing with all these responsibilities. Like, what happened? So you have this blank look. A lot of it's from the sleep deprivation, being sleep deprived. So basically what these moms are going to Dr. Shan or other cannabis doctors and getting a specific strand, a specific tinctures to help them with their depression.
So it's not just a matter of vaping or anything. They can actually do tinctures or so they get any kind of form to help them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not that they're smoking it. Some can, depending on which state they're in. They can, but they're getting it in basically an oil form. And this is not moms. These moms are not just going to the black market and getting it from someone they don't know. They don't know what it is. They're getting it. They're using it for medical use.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're getting a prescription, and it's been helping them.
Now, depending on your state, under the your medical marijuana program, this would qualify.
Good question, Osiris.
That's interesting. It would qualify, would it not?
No. So what Dr. Shin said in her article is that most mothers after they give birth are in pain. So she's using it under the chronic pain diagnosis.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're getting it under that diagnosis.
Well played.
Yeah. Yeah, well played. And, it's helping them. She said now, once some moms come in and they can't even touch their babies, and they come up for the follow-up and they're actually holding their babies, which is huge.
Yeah, that's big, because you need that connection, mother and child.
In the beginning, you need that connection.
Wow. Well, all you moms out there, look into it. We're not recommending, but we're just saying, You need some help out there. No sense in keeping it to yourself. Go out there and get as much help as you can, because raising a child is not easy. And those first few years are so important with the connection between you and that child.
And a lot of these mothers were mothers that were already given antidepressants.
See, that's strange that they would, something like that, a medication that, while they're nursing too.
Some were nursing, some weren't nursing, yeah.
But I'm thinking for a mother, keep saying parent, but a mother who's nursing and is taking this medication, which sometimes can be a narcotic and it could be addictive.
It was like a lot of Xanax.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are they passing that down to, if they're nursing, lactating, are they passing on to the child? Now, does the child, those are the things you got to think about, in a sense. I mean, if you're looking at the plant itself, you're using cannabis, using a plant, it's not addictive.
Yeah. Oh, she did say that in the article. And there were also some naysayers in the articles too that did.
Oh, you're gonna have them.
So they said the same thing, almost the same lines, like, oh, it may not be safe for nursing mothers.
Oh yeah, but it's okay to pop a few pills though.
Yeah. So
go figure.
It's big back and forth. So, but there are mothers who are using it. They're using it for medical use. They have a diagnosis.
Of course. Depression is a diagnosis.
And I just want to talk to that. So there's so many strands of cannabis out there that you have to find, if you're using it, that's why it's nice to have a cannabis doctor, because they could help you find the strands that could work for you. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people will tell me, I may say to a close friend, hey, why don't you try the cannabis to help you with this? They're like, oh no, weed makes me sick, or weed, I don't want to get the munchies. But that's just so false, and I'm kind of so sick of
the stereotypes.
I'm so sick of this the stereotypes. Like, I find like because of these stereotypes, people are so hesitant of trying it, even medically.
Oh, I think it's more or less a stigma. They're afraid of the stigma, but they have no problem going to the doctor. Hey, could you prescribe me some pills to pop? But knowing that there's major side effects to those pills.
Because there's so many strands out there. Yes, there are some cannabis strands that give you the munchies. Yes. And there are some that make you sleepy. But you could find ones that actually could help you medically and no one would know that you're using it.
Well, look, I mean, for the most part, we haven't, given any brand or any company any, light. But I mean, for a library of strands and trying to understand, we'll say first thing to do, check Leafly. That's That's Leafly, leafly.com. Their website has all of the strains you can imagine. And they also give you description of what these strains are good for. And they're even separated under categories as well. So for you new people who, thought about it, as we call it, kind of curious, definitely check it out and see what would work. And there are also some companies out there that are coming out with DNA testing to match your DNA up with a specific strain for your particular ailment. So look out for those as well, because we actually use one, but that would be a discussion at a later date about this particular company that I've actually had a great discussion with and also checked out their products.
Yeah, Leafly is an amazing site. So you can type in a certain strand or just click on a certain one and they'll tell you this is great for alleviating depression. This is for euphoria. This is for sleep. Like, so, or
focus.
For some focus, yes.
You New Yorkers, you got to stay focused in that grind.
Most people think of weed as just making you like a zombie, but that's not the case.
No, that's indica.
So you got to, and then most people, when they did say they smoked in college or high school, they didn't know what they were smoking.
Yeah, they just got it from their friend who got it from another friend. That was it.
Which is a huge no-no.
Well, that was back then.
Yeah, I know.
But now, I think with so much information out there now, I mean, it's overwhelming to the point it's exhausting to go through all of it. But at the same time, you realize that this industry is picking up so much momentum that, you can't say I'm not educated enough.
That's true.
Ignorance is not an answer or something acceptable anymore because there's so much information.
There is, but I don't know if people are really getting into the information out there.
That's interesting because they won't go, when they go to a doctor and get a prescription for a pill, they won't question it. They're like, my doctor said it was okay. Despite the fact that you get some side effects. They're like, but my doctor said. But now you're getting an alternative, you're going to question it. And yet so many people are using to help themselves. I mean, even the baby boomers are like almost the number one beneficiaries of cannabis now. How amazing is that? The people who are up against it back then are now the ones who are using it now. Go figure.
But it's nice that they can be educated and kind of pick out what strands they need to fit their needs.
Their particular needs. But to go back to the postpartum, I mean, for you personally, because I know that you and I had gone through it and dealing with it, I don't think we've ever really sat down and talked about, are you still going through it at times? Because there's moments I can catch, like, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling anxious. And I wonder, is that still part of that?
I don't know. I mean, I think by definition, it's only 1 year.
Really? You got a time limit?
I know. I don't know how can you put a time limit.
So after that is what? Considered like...
just plain old depressed, I guess.
Well, could it be considered PTSD?
Yes.
I mean, because
giving traumatic stress. Yeah, giving birth is traumatic.
It's very traumatic.
Yes.
I mean, when I was in the hospital with you, when you were giving birth, and all these hands were going at you, pulling little Aiden out and everything, I'm like, oh, this is different. This is interesting. I mean, to watch this life come from you, and the fact that you're sitting there breathing heavy, pushing. I mean, it was messy. That's all I can say. It was like, okay, I've watched a lot of horror movies in my life, the blood, gore, and everything else. But to witness something like that live, for a life to come from you, it's like, it's an eye opener. It's an experience.
What? That it's pretty sensitive of you and in tune to actually say that was like a peak. Yes, because it is like every mother has their birth story, and it is traumatic. Like some of them, themselves get sick, or they have health issues, they have to be rushed to the ICU. Yeah, giving birth is very, very traumatic, and that should be considered post-traumatic stress. Like,
that's interesting. Interesting.
No, you're right.
Yeah, because I mean, just looking at, because you're putting your body, it's one thing when, like, let's say now we'll put an example to working out. You're exerting certain muscles. You're pushing you beyond your limits. I mean, even like running marathons, you're pushing your body, but you're exerting so much energy to push a child anywhere between 4, you have a small preemie, but anywhere between 4 to 8 to 10 pounds maybe out of you. That takes a lot. I mean, literally, there's times where you stop breathing just to exert enough energy to force the child out. You could literally have a heart attack. You could really stop. You could have an aneurysm. I mean, all these things can happen to you.
Risky, and
it is risky.
And it's really risky. And I was very fortunate that mine was quick, but some of these women are in there for like 48, 72 hours.
I mean, that's amazing. And big up to all the mothers out there for the journey you guys gone through to get that child out. I mean, it's unreal. It is really, it's just respect and love. That's all I can say is respect and love.
And now you say that, like, that probably contributes to the postpartum depression.
Yeah. To put because you think about it, you're using all of your hormones in your body, all of the energy, every thought, everything is about this process.
Yeah.
So all of it is now coming into one action, and that's to get the child out. You're exerting everything and anything. So you're talking even on a cellular level that, all this is this purpose. And now here we are all coming together to get this. So, I mean, everything's running in high gear now to get to this point. That's just amazing. That's all I can say. Bless you.
Yeah.
And thank you. And thanks to the boys who got there. Yeah.
So to kind of change it up, in preparing for this podcast, there's also, it happens in men.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Postpartum depression in men.
Get out of here. Really?
Yes.
I saw that problem with a 6-pack or a vape pen. Yeah, I didn't know. This must be serious.
Okay, I just kind of like, let me look this up. Yeah. So some men get it as well. Can you see that?
I'm trying to. The only depression I have is when, the shop's closed for the night. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Or maybe you're not in tune with it.
I don't know. That's strange. I'm trying to wrap my head about it. If I ever been depressed, I've been stressed out, but to go through postpartum, I mean, I thought I saw something about that, but I'm like, nah, that can't be for guys. I mean, and also, but for guys, personally me, we mask a lot of things that we do go through because we got to be strong. Because society tells you got to be strong, you got to be focused, you got to be all these things and be manly. So depression is not one of those things that you deal with as a man, let alone your health sometimes, i.e. example. So for me to think that as a man that I'm going through postpartum depression, no, I went through depression for the 9 months you were pregnant, but that's about it. But I mean, after the fact, I mean, is it after the birth or is it, I mean.
So they're basically going through it at the same time their wives are going through it. But
really,
I don't know, it's not hormonal based, but it's just basically anxiety. Some guys, just having the new baby around, they feel this sense of anxiety or stress or this sense that now they have to step up, or.
Well, for me personally, stepping up is not so much an issue because I was the oldest of my family. So any of the younger siblings, that responsibility fell on me. Yeah. So for me, I couldn't see that. It's just like, okay, everything has to be scheduled. And plus, my mom ran the household like military. She didn't have to be there to have things in order. She would see something out of place. She would know exactly who did it and when. So she was on point. So that, in a sense, for me, it's order. So, I mean, for you guys that are going through it, I feel for you. But I can't see that I went through that. Not to say I'm Superman or anything like that. It's just I didn't see it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it happening. Definitely, just the change and the shift. Maybe they're not getting all the attention. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
that kind of thing. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, I did go through that for a while with you. Yes, when when this little guy came in and took complete control of the household, I'm like, wow. Okay, so I am going to be playing second or even maybe third fiddle to your attention. But I dealt with it, I realized it. But at the same time, that's part of being a parent. The things that you want may not be necessarily what's the family's need.
Yeah.
So, I learned to, put that aside. I'm a little still salty, but I think we've grown through that. Oh, well, I mean, I've grown through it, but really, it's just amazing. I did not know. You learn something new every time. So men can go through postpartum.
It's depression. Thing.
It's a thing.
I guess it's a thing.
Wow, but I mean, sometimes the medical field, they want to slap a label on anything, but I'll go with it. I'll go with it. But hold it.
I don't know how many men are going and seeking help. I don't know. I just saw that. It's very, very, very. My search was very minimal. I just kind of looked it up, so I cannot speak on how many and what are they doing for it, or if anything.
Cannabis.
Yeah. So, but just to put it out there, if anyone else out there wants to look it up.
That's funny. Now they got a reason to go use cannabis. And, I'm depressed. Let me get a cannabis.
So.
But wow, guys, didn't know. Give all my guys out there a hug.
We all need hugs.
Yeah, we do. Oh man, that is interesting. I'm gonna have to do some research on that because that is really, really interesting. I guess we're gonna have to add something else to the medical marijuana programs out there.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, I don't know, any other questions for me, Osiris? Or?
Oh, really? Oh, if you have any questions. Okay. No, not really. But I think for the most part, I'm learning a whole lot through this because, as a couple, our communication can be challenging at times. So I think doing this helps me get a better idea of the things that you've gone through, the things that you're dealing with, and how we can work together and, just basically working things out. So I won't be what's the word that you like to use?
Insensitive?
Why? It's got to be insensitive though. Oh, it seems so harsh. And I'm a sensitive person. So it hurts.
Sorry.
Yeah, that even sound like it was like you're really genuine about that. But no, I mean, I pride myself on being a sensitive person, and then you tell me that I'm insensitive. So it's well, I gotta do a self-evaluation. How's that?
Sure. Yeah, do a self-evaluation. We all need to do a self-evaluation.
Oh, you admitting to that?
Yes.
Oh, I got a checklist. I've been waiting to use it. But anyway, guys, this has been an interesting topic discussion because as men, sometimes we don't think about these things. And plus, it's not something that's really talked about with men. It's mostly something that's kept with women. So this is really good to know.
And I think it's good to people know that they have options out there. And it's not only about cannabis and epilepsy.
Yes, it's just so much. And I mean, we promote cannabis, but not in the sense like, hey, drop everything you're doing, just run the cannabis. It's not that. It's just like
it could help some medical
conditions, but we're more or less saying do things educationally now.
Yeah,
because there is alternatives, there's options, and that's really what our message is. It's just, again, like we always said, be empowered. That's the most thing, because when you're empowered, you can make decisions. You can look at alternatives. You don't necessarily have to take what someone with a white coat tells you. It's just like, hey, you know what? I've been doing some research. I need to think things out, because your body, your family better than anybody else.
Yeah. So what should we discuss next episode?
I don't know so much, but I think for next episode, let's talk about the things that we've done with Aiden.
Okay.
Because, especially with, you guys already know about his condition and everything, but to talk about the things that we do with him to help him overcome some of his, his shortcomings. I mean, because of his disabilities or limitations, he's overcoming some certain things that we find amazing at times.
Yeah.
And so we definitely want to share that with you. At some point, we probably create some vlogs so you guys can see it for yourselves, because we're like I said once before, it's like we're almost reworking his brain. It's like rewiring his brain. And I think we didn't get a chance to get into that the last time, but I think next time we could get into that. And
science, I love it.
Yeah, that's your field. But I mean, it's amazing when you see children at a certain age and they can actually do things that you don't expect them to do, and they do, and they overcome. They're champions. That's all I can say. They're champions.
Yes.
All right, folks.
Okay, that is it. Thank you. Ciao.
Yeah, guys, have a good one. All right.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Love and Cannabis. I'm Nina.
I'm Osiris.
And we're the proud parents of Aiden.
Be strong.
And stay empowered.
Tell me, boy, you make me so bored. You need to walk the other way. I tell you once more, please get out of my way. I don't want you no more. We're done here, boy. I know you think you're so fine, but you can't see it. I've been wanting to bombard.
Hi, my name is Kira Reed, and I'd like to invite you to be inspired by the women who are leading in the cannabis industry. Each week, we will discuss empowerment, leadership, and what it means to be a woman in charge in marijuana, hemp, and CBD. As the founder of the Women Empowered in Cannabis community, I have had the great pleasure to get to know many brilliant and talented women who are CEOs, executives, politicians, advocates, and community leaders that are focused on creating a cannabis economy that is just, fair, and equal. We'll learn how these women make decisions, how they navigate a predominantly male industry, and what they're doing to level the playing field for women. I hope you'll join us.